Not long ago, this Boeing 747 was carrying hundreds of passengers across the Pacific at nearly 600 miles an hour. Soon, this same aircraft, its fuselage intact and instantly recognizable, will hang midair between two new towers in downtown Seattle, serving not as a relic, but as a fully functional workspace. This is WB-1200, a 1.2 million square foot mixed-use development where two high-rise residential towers rise from a shared three-story podium, joined by a glass-roofed Galleria. Through that space, the jumbo jet will stretch above a public walkway, turning an ordinary city block into a living stage for one of aviation's most iconic machines. It's an image that demands a double take, but behind the spectacle is a far bigger story. How you suspend an airliner midair, build massive towers around it, and make the whole thing work as part of the city. Denny Triangle sits at the hinge between downtown and South Lake Union, an area reshaped over the past decade by tech offices, apartment towers, and infill projects. The site at Stewart, Denny, Minor, and Yale was a patchwork of low-rise uses and parking for years, with multiple concepts floated since the late 2000s. Earlier plans included hotel and condo ideas that ran into headwinds during and after the Great Recession, with the current vision taking shape after Westbank acquired the block and pursued a new design. From the outset, this wasn't just a standard podium and tower. The developer framed the project as a gateway on the northeast edge of downtown, using sculpted topographic balcony profiles to break away from flat glass slabs and add texture in the skyline. WB-1200 uses these deep sculpted balcony bands that advance and recede, producing a wave-like profile. This isn't just aesthetic flourish. Geometry like this is often used to help break up wind flow and reduce vortex shedding along the facade, while the depth can provide real outdoor space for residents. Landscaped terraces are planned on the more expressive facades, and there are even some amenities like rooftop patios, pools, and dog areas. The Galleria became the organizing move, designed as a year-round pedestrian route and a programmable social space. That move opens the door to the element everyone remembers, the 747. Stripped to its raw aluminum fuselage, an intact nose, tail, and gear, it's the centerpiece that acknowledges Boeing's imprint on the city's economy, but much more on the 747 in just a minute. At its core, WB-1200 is two tall residential towers on a shared base, with mixed uses concentrated in and around the podium and Galleria. The two 47-story mid-400-foot residential towers total roughly 1.2 million square feet. The Galleria replaces an alley with an indoor climate-sheltered pedestrian route set beneath a structural glass enclosure that ties the podium volumes together. The design team's approach, carving a slot through the base and spanning it while keeping it open to both streets, makes the Galleria read as both a public passage and an internal atrium. A leasing packet sets out 1,048 rental homes, 50,000 square feet of retail, another 20,000 square feet of creative workspace, and a roughly 40,000 square foot Live Nation Fillmore venue with a capacity of around 2,500. The packet also calls out a 16,000 square foot Trader Joe's and a block of 124 Sonder short stay units on levels 4 through 7. It's an unusual mix: a national grocer, a branded music hall, a short stay hospitality operator, and a developed workspace in a 747, all under two apartment towers. Now let's talk more about the exciting part, the Boeing 747, and this will be the actual aircraft, not a prop. It's a decommissioned 747-400, reported to be former United Airlines aircraft N178UA. It was manufactured in 1990 just 20 miles north of Seattle, and was retired in 2017 after flying an estimated 3 million people across the Atlantic and Pacific. After retirement, it was dismantled at the Southern California Logistics Airport in Victorville. As mentioned, it'll be suspended in the Galleria, with the interior programmed as a workspace for Westbank and creative energy. From an engineering perspective, suspending that mass inside a glass-proof atrium means doing three things well. First, distributing vertical loads into podium framing without overloading retail bays. Second, controlling swing and vibration so the fuselage behaves under occupant movement and minor seismic excitation. And third, addressing fire, egress, and smoke considerations for an occupied object within an atrium. As of August 2025, most, if not all, the steel framing appears to be in place, and I have to imagine that it would be an interesting spectacle to watch the fuselage finally get craned in. Construction initially began in 2018 with a target completion of 2021. Then reality set in. The pandemic hammered supply chains, a regional concrete worker strike slowed progress across Puget Sound, and WB-1200 got tangled in disputes and mechanics liens that forced a major change. Graham Construction stepped off the job in 2022, with Icon West and JTM Construction stepping into key roles in 2023. By late 2024, reports framed the project as eyeing the finish line, but the schedule had effectively stretched into 2025. For a high-rise pair this size, that's not unprecedented, but it is expensive. Speculating based on what I can see from the site, it wouldn't be surprising if project completion slipped into 2026. At the urban design scale, the Galleria offers a second front door to the block, one that connects people on foot from Stewart to Denny and vice versa. Compared with a sealed podium, this can drive more ground floor turnover and improve perceived permeability at a notoriously traffic-heavy corner beside I-5. And I have to mention the why the jet critique. Some see it as branding, others see an appropriate nod to local industry with real programmable value. The developer's own framing leans into that second view, using a globally recognized design object to create a civic room that feels uniquely Seattle. Whether you buy the argument or not, the cost and complexity of hanging a fuselage indoors means it has to earn its keep in daily use, not just as a backdrop for photos. Let's translate the plan into everyday effects. Roughly 1,000 rental homes bring on around 2,000 new residents to a block that previously served relatively little purpose. A Trader Joe's reduces trip lengths for groceries, especially for car-light households. A 2,500 capacity venue adds nighttime economy and can drive consistent transit and foot traffic, which can be stabilized for businesses nearby if it's managed well. The Galleria creates a covered pedestrian link that, in winter, will likely be used as the preferred path between the two streets. Of course, there are definitely trade-offs. A large entertainment venue can be noisy and generate surges in curb demand, and event scheduling will determine how comfortable neighbors feel on show nights. Short-stay units can fill a useful niche for business travelers and family visits, but cities watch them for impacts on long-term housing stock and building operations. The upside is that these uses concentrate activity indoors and along a designed pedestrian route, not on back-of-house alleys. Add the financial layer. Sources from 2021 put hard and soft costs for the project around $381 million, supported by a $297 million financing line announced earlier in the cycle. Since costs have significantly climbed during the delays, the actual total will almost certainly exceed that estimate. When a project encounters delays, interest carry compounds, supplier prices escalate, and contingency burns faster than planned. On top of that, Westbank paid $10 million into Seattle's mandatory housing affordability program as part of permitting modifications that added 4 residential stories. This is a conventional private development with a lot of specialty program risk, but the risk profile isn't only construction complexity. It's also tenanting a large venue and retail base in a market still finding its post-pandemic footing. In that context, anchoring with a national grocer and a Live Nation brand is rational. Groceries generate daily trips, venues generate predictable peaks, and the short stay block can help smooth occupancy across market cycles. If you strip it down to essentials, WB 1200 attempts to do 4 things on a tight site. Add a large amount of housing, provide a weather-protected public connection where an alley once ran, anchor the base with a daily use retail and cultural venue, and build a civic-scale moment around a 747 fuselage that ties Seattle's aerospace past to a new downtown living area. The plane will undoubtedly draw attention, but the legacy of this development may be more embedded in the effect that it has on the surrounding space. At Buildcore, we're building America, one story at a time. We cover some of the most impressive and headline-grabbing projects and topics across this great country. And with your help, the channel has grown to over 50,000 subscribers and reached over 10 million people. With that being said, thank you, and I'll see you next time.